Yeah, and I think this is such a good point, because this is why it makes no sense to say it's rude or it's friendly, because the definitions of what almost every culture perceives of itself as friendly and polite, but the manifestation of that, the way we show it, is totally different from culture to culture. And I just think historically, when we start ranking cultures in terms of good and bad, that's been a very dangerous thing historically. Now, in one other video, somebody said, well, I will just keep judging Americans for driving after drinking. And I think that's a different issue, because when we're talking about safety or human rights violations, of course, that's different. But yeah, I think it's really dangerous, like actually dangerous, to say a culture is rude or bad in some way, or with Americans taking shoes off in the house. Like, sometimes people say that's disgusting. I mean, I'm not trying to defend it, but I just think that those terms, it's such a slippery slope. And this is a great example that simply because Norwegians may be quieter about their opinions about Americans, which most people think Americans are loud and rude, and I'm the loudest of all of them. Like, I can't defend American volume. I'm like loud even by American standards. So there you go. But like, just because other people aren't like shouting these opinions into the ether doesn't mean other people don't have them. But I personally think that the same can be said about Norway at times. That I think sometimes Norwegians can be too quick to think their way is best. But I think that, to some extent, everybody does it. And I think, for example, Americans don't necessarily consciously think their way is best. They just think their way is the way. Whereas I think Norwegians are a little bit more straightforward about saying, this is the best way to do it. What's wrong with you? For instance, I've been getting some comments about something I said about timeout for my kids. We don't really use a timeout. It was just a metonym I used. But some Norwegians were like, that's terrible, and like, you Americans are light years behind us in that. Well, again, we're making value judgments. I mean, if you wanted to use value judgments, most Americans say that Norwegians are too permissive with their kids and don't do any discipline. But that's why we shouldn't say things in that way, harming somebody. And I do think we can make those arguments with kids, right? Child development is someone being hard. That's for another video. I've written a whole book on parenting advice, so